Hey everybody, what's going on? Rob Cesternino back here for Hit or Quit as we are continuing our coverage of Stars on Mars here through episode 2. And I am very excited to be back here with a woman who is the star of our Stars on Mars coverage. Here is Jenny Autumn. Jenny, how are you?
Rob, am I the brightest star in the
The
galaxy?
brightest star in the galaxy. I was going to say the woman who prefers that we talk about how thirsty people are, even when we're not talking about the water situation on the
I
Mars
would prefer
outpost.
thirsty. You're definitely
Yes,
not H word for water.
yes. The only H word we're talking about is H2O, as we're talking
Yes.
about the crisis in our HAB 1701 colony on Stars on
1701
Mars.
colony? Is this a thing I missed?
So I think
You
it's an
know.
Easter egg because
Okay.
famously the Shaddy Daddy that was on a little show called Star Trek, and they had
Hmm.
a ship called the USS Enterprise, which has a designation of NCC-1701. That's what it says
Okay.
on the habitat, HAB
Listen,
1701.
I don't think I've actively watched a whole episode of Star Trek. Like, it's been
Hmm.
on in my vicinity, but I would never have captured that and then caught the
You have
reference
to
to it in
be
the show.
a big loser, such as myself, to
Well,
notice a
I
little detail like that.
I am a loser. Let's, like, not get that twisted. I'm
Not
just, like,
like that. Not like
a different
this.
kind. I'm a loser in that, like, I take very, thorough notes of a stupid television show, and then
Mhm.
I'm like, "I don't have that wait, is this part of the show that I missed? I don't have this in my
Mhm.
notes." So I'm, like,
Ok
that kinda loser.
well, that's why people listen because they know that you have all of the details.
So yeah, is that why they listen?
Yes.
They're like,
Yes.
"I need to come to get the most accurate
You're the
in."
mission specialist.
I am the mission specialist of recapping Stars on Mars, my
Mhm.
calling finally.
Yeah. Okay, Stars on Mars, episode number 2. Jenny and I really enjoyed the show this, first week out. Jenny, how did you feel about episode number 2 of Stars on Mars?
So here's the thing. I was very, very high on the premiere episode. I mean, I went
We were
into
in
it with, like,
orbit.
I was blasting off all over the
Oh my
place.
god.
Like, I immediate regret. And so, but I also am very good at lowering my expectations in life.
Mhm.
And I knew that, after a breakout episode like that, that was very Marshawn heavy, which for we were blessed to have that as the opening episode, where you
Sure.
had Marshawn Lynch as your base captain or commander or whatever it's called. And it was great. I was very happy. Now, I went into this week being like, it's not going to be as good as last week because they're going to have to rotate out the characters. Uh
Mhm.
so I wasn't expecting to be as, like, wowed as I was last week. That said, Rob, I know that we are in Mars, but I need to bring us down to earth for a second here.
Okay.
This show is still so much better than almost everything we've done on Hit or
That is
Quit.
fair. That is fair, Jenny. No lies detected. And I will say, Stars on Mars, I was really high on it in week number 1. I think a little bit cooler on the surface
Mhm.
of Mars here this week. And I
On the
think
icy
that what it
water.
comes down to is I really enjoy the celebrities, the stars living amongst each other on the habitat. What I
Of
don't
course.
like as
Yes.
much is when they go on the missions, and
The
I find
emergencies.
the
Mhm.
emergencies and the missions, I find that to be the I don't wanna say least, but the less interesting part of the experience.
Oh, it is the least interesting part of the
Mhm.
experience. And here's the thing, like, it is no wonder that you and I are most interested in watching the celebrities interact with each other and live within some sort of like habitat together, the hab as they call it, because we are the people that, you know, love Big Brother and
Mhm.
like, and this show, and I think I already said it last week, this show is better than Celebrity Big Brother in my opinion, because you get that same dynamic of like, oh, it's so cool, like you have, you know, NFL like superstars in like the same house with like Bravo celebrities and like musicians and stuff. Like you're getting to watch these people interact and you know, like the social dynamics of it all. But it's better produced than Celebrity Big Brother. The cast is better than like any of the Celebrity Big Brother casts. And you know, we don't have live feeds, but that's okay because I think they're giving us what like the best stuff is of their interactions.
It's
I
curated.
just I they're curating and I think they're doing a pretty good job.
Mhm.
I completely agree with you. I don't care about the emergencies. I hate emergencies in real life. I don't like anything being an alarm of any kind. And the missions are really not interesting and often hard to follow. So that is the least interesting part of the experience. But I appreciate that there is like a point. Whereas like, you know, do you remember that little show we watched not too long ago, Rob? It was called
Special Forces: World's
Special
Toughest Test.
Forces: World's Toughest Test. And they just would torture them and it just seemed pointless. I half the time we were like, why are they doing this? And like, what is the meaning of this? Whereas like I feel like these emergencies, they're written well. Like they're written in a way where it's like, this would make sense because this is something that like might happen in like I don't know. It's all fictional, obviously, but like they at least put effort into like having a story for like the task they do, so it's not like just random carnival games. I appreciate that they try, but like we don't care. It's like
Mhm.
what I'm saying. It's like we don't care what they're doing, but I do like that there is a point to the mission and that there is some sort of you know, like if you do poorly, if you are not helpful to the group, you might get booted. Whereas on
Right.
like special forces, it was like you'll get yelled at and you'll get yelled at if you do well anyway. So it's like,
Mhm.
what was the
Yeah.
point? Like, why do I care about doing well?
Yeah,
You know?
this was a big week where we learned a lot about how this the proceedings are going to go.
Yes.
We had wondered last week, is there a prize for the winner? One of our listeners, Reagan, had sent me some DMs to confirm no prize. There's no prize on this. However, that the job of base commander, and while I don't think that there is like a specific like reward that they get, they seem to get patches if they win. We found out that if you're
Like
the base
scouts.
commander and then you do fail the mission, you are eligible for being considered for the extraction. And I actually do really like this. I mean,
Mhm.
it is giving me some. Are we allowed to talk about things they did on The Apprentice? Because they
Sure.
did it on
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger and Martha Stewart Apprentice also. But
Great versions.
yeah, I mean, if you were the project manager and your team lost, like often, like it was like well, it was the project manager's fault that we lost this one. And so really like this wrinkle of okay, you are sort of like the HOH as base commander, but if your team fails the mission, you could be the person to go home, as we saw this week with Tallulah Willis.
Yes. And that's great because now there's still the role of I'm already blanking on what is it uh what is the co-pilot
Natasha?
role? Yeah, I know
Oh,
her
mission
name, but
mission
what's the
specialist.
mission specialist? That's right. Okay, so you still have this role of a mission specialist, which is the person that basically gets given immunity, but it's not the base commander who is supposed to get the special room and like the equivalent of the HOH, the decision maker. And because you are only safe if the team is successful, then there is an actual like incentive in trying to do a good job. So it's not just like kicking your feet up and doing whatever you want. So that makes it like a lot
Although,
more interesting.
Jenny, for the mission specialist, which if you didn't watch the show, Tallulah Willis was the base commander, and then Natasha Leggero.
Like I think it's Leggero.
Lajaro.
I
Okay.
don't know.
Natasha,
Sorry,
she
Natasha.
got the job of mission specialist because she didn't want to go out and do the mission, which I feel
Relatable.
seen. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's the best job because
Oh
then
yeah.
if the base commander fails,
You're still safe.
you get to be
Yeah.
you get to make the calls. You become the base commander. It's almost like that the best job is like being the co-pilot and then trying to throw the base commander under the bus.
Yeah. And I don't know that that's what happened here. We can obviously talk through it as we go through what happened here. But it's basically like being okay. Let me understand if I understand. Let me see if I understand your politics. So like it's like being the vice president and the president gets assassinated, and then you become the president, right? Is that how it
Oh
works?
boy, it's like being the vice president on like House of Cards or 24, or like where you're
like
always like trying to like throw the
fictional.
president under the bus and like make them do
Oh, so
bad.
you're saying like in this scenario, you're the vice president, but you're
Yeah.
also trying. You're like trying to destroy them
Like,
from
I
within
really-
so that you can become president.
Yeah, I think this really was the plot of House of Cards. It's like you are the like you want to be the vice president and then have the president get impeached, and then everybody gets mad at the president, and that so that they should have to resign in disgrace, and that you take over as commander.
Now, if this was the subtext of what happened here, then this is wild because like the way that some of these decisions were made in this episode was very interesting. Some things just felt like, drawn out like democratic process, and other things were like it's this. And
I
so
don't
we're
think
still
Natasha
learning how
even knew the rules to the show
No, I don't
well
think she
enough to
knew.
have been like trying to subvert.
Yeah. But I mean,
Tallulah.
it seems, and we saw this last week as well, that once we get down to the bottom three, it does seem like all of the other people that were already decided to be mission critical work together as a team to make a democratic decision on who is ultimately not mission critical and is going to be extracted. So it's not like this was Natasha's decision alone, but she did kind of let her girl go, and that was the person that put her in the comfy position she was in. So
yes,
it is very interesting.
Okay, and then we lose Tallulah Willis this week. I feel like that we really did get to see Tallulah fleshed out as a character in this episode. Jenny, are you going to miss Tallulah?
I thought she was fun. I am trying to figure out if they all truly loved her, or if they were getting a little tired of it, but they were like, bless her heart.
Bless her heart. I think the second one. Yeah.
That's what I was trying to figure out, because a lot of the, like, you have to pay attention how people talk about each other. And, there was a lot, even Natasha, who is supposed to be like one of the closest people to Tallulah,
roommate,
is constantly saying like, I can translate her because she's just
I speak
all
Tallulah
over the place. Like, she's super positive and kind of quirky and all over the place. So I'm like the whisperer of her. Like, people were saying she's so like lovely and kind and wonderful, but there was like a little bit of like subtext there where like they didn't take her very seriously. And I think that kind of happened, like, we saw that happen in the 48-hour period that she was in power. It was like kind of the rise and fall of Tallulah Willis, truly, because like after, like, let's be real. And this is no disrespect to Marshawn Lynch, because I absolutely love him and I would have been destroyed if we lost him. She is the reason they did so well last week. Like, Tallulah did as the again, already forgetting the name, the mission
specialist.
specialist, the mission specialist. She did an incredible job of communicating with, the people on the mission and like being super calm. And, she did kill it last week, which is a big reason for why she ended up getting voted as the base commander this week. So everyone at the beginning, they're like, yes, this is so great. You were so great last week or whatever, 2 days ago. Like, you're going to be our leader now. And then the cracks started to form and it started like, oh, okay, you're maybe not, you don't have all the leadership skills we're like needing here. And so I think that like the faith in her was already starting to wane before the emergency even took place. Just noticing how like certain people were talking about her, I think that people were like, it's great, like she's not on her asses about stuff, but maybe she should be. So I think that was like where Tallulah went wrong here. I thought she was fun though. Like she was someone that I did not care about last week. No offense.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, okay. But I thought she was like a really fun character this week. And there was points where I was like, would I be like this? Because like I'm a very lovey, positive person. So now I'm questioning like, would I be terrible at this, and would I be annoying people with how positive and uplifting I would try to be? I don't know.
She seems lovely. She seems like she would be very nice. You would love to have her teaching like your kid's kindergarten class. But I think that her fatal flaw here on Mars was that if you were like, hey, Jenny, I feel good about this. Put me in. I got this. Like, okay, Rob, if you believe in yourself, you can do it. Because if you believe you can do it, I believe in you too. It's like, I actually have no idea what I'm doing. You should not let me have that spot.
Yeah, this is the problem.
Put your foot down. Tell me
I
no.
think I spend a lot of time in this episode thinking about Tallulah's like Enneagram. And ultimately, and I think this is why I'm struggling to think like, am I like this? Because I was like, she's got big 2 energy, but then also she's got like a little bit of 9 where I think that she's like doesn't want to, cause a stir. And if someone is like, no, I want to do this, she's like, okay, like people pleaser, just kind of like, sure, whatever. Where I think she, she should have been surveying the group a little bit more to be like, is this the right decision to make? And I'm not caring so much about making individual people happy and thinking more about like the group. And so I think that was, a big part of her fatal flaw. She ultimately says at the end of the episode that her, like, where she really lacked was she underestimated the physical abilities required for the tasks.
Yeah.
And that wasn't about herself. It was like she underestimated like where she would need physical people, I think is what she meant. But yeah, so yeah, Jenny, she dropped the ball trying to make too many people happy individually without thinking of the big picture.
Sure, and we'll talk all of it through, but I just want to make one last pitch as far as Tallulah. Please, let's send Tallulah Willis to season 2 of Special Forces: World's Toughest Test. We need that positivity with the recruits.
Do you think that she sticks it out?
I don't know. Maybe she'll have like Bill Billingsley, like smiling.
She'd be. I mean, she could win. Maybe she could. Like, does she have Hannah Brown upside? I don't know.
Spoiler alert.
Sorry, I'm so sorry for. Can I just say, like, before I will go on a tangent for a second. So I follow the reality club Fox Twitter account or whatever. They still to this very day are like posting gifs from Special Forces
in World's Toughest Test.
Like, no context.
Let me see. Let me look it up.
They're trying to meme like imagery from there was one I think it was today, and it was like a picture of Hannah Brown looking sad, and it was like when you purposely put on sad music or something like that.
Well, like, Jenny, that's a franchise because that's renewed for season 2.
I know it is, which is but mind-boggling.
Reality Club Fox.
Yeah, they are still on the regs posting gifs and like photos from Special Forces: World's Toughest Test as if it's happening right now. Like,
yeah, we all have that one song that gets us in our feels. What's yours? Hashtag Special Forces Fox.
Hashtag engagement.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're going for here. And I love this for them. Like, I love that I'll be scrolling through my Twitter and there's like a picture of like Hannah Brown, like in her like, army fatigues. I'm like, what is
Yeah.
this? What is this? Why
What
are
is
we doing
this
this?
show that's on after the Stars on Mars? Did you happen to catch this? It's
Some
like crime food show, like
crime scene kitchen or something.
Crime
I don't
Scene
know.
Kitchen.
Is that what it's
What
called?
the hell is going on this show?
Is this I have no idea, but I also see it all over. The Reality Club Fox is like posting about that constantly as well. I did have to mute Stars on Mars because I didn't watch it live last night.
Mhm.
I'm dedicated. I don't want to be spoiled. Like
Yeah.
I have to mute the hashtag so I don't get spoiled. So
Mhm.
I'm only getting all of the other Reality Club on Fox content because of the mute. So I don't know. If anyone
Yeah.
wants to tell us like what's going on Crime Scene Kitchen.
Would love to know it. Like, I don't even know who to ask about that, but, Crime Scene
Is there
Kitchen.
murder?
Is there murder, and how does it taste?
Is it delicious?
Murder is delicious on Crime Scene Kitchen.
Yeah.
Jenny, let's talk through, the events of this episode,
Let's.
and we have everybody in the hab, and they didn't seem to be too broken up about McLovin being gone.
Yeah, I'm kind of upset about that. Like
Hmm.
I feel like he deserved a little bit more. Like I wanted to see someone be like, "Man, I really miss him."
It's like he was
Because that's
never
how I
there.
felt. I
Hmm.
think that's the problem. It's like the first boot thing, you know what I mean? Where it's like you're just not there long enough to, because I feel like after like 2 days, then you really start getting to know each other. Like once you've had to like sleep in the same area for like more than one night, that's when
Hmm.
the bonding starts to happen. And I feel like McLovin missed out on that. And I am still upset that he was our first casualty because I just feel like there was more there. Like I obviously understand you have to make decision, like this is, a show where there's a common goal and it's like you have a little bit of like the survivor tribe portion where it's like you're wanting to keep people that'll be like useful for the mission. But at the same time, like, can we get some production interference here and like just keep the good people? Like, I don't care about the integrity of this game. This means nothing to me. They're not even in Mars, okay? I don't care about whether they're doing the game properly. There's no prize. I don't care how you meddle in this game. Keep the good people. That's what I want. Why can't
Hmm.
they just do that for me? So that is like my big rant here in
Is
that,
there
like,
somebody that is just like cruising through that you'd
yeah,
like to see
yeah,
extracted? Who?
yes.
Who is it?
It's Tom Schwartz, okay? Like,
Mhm.
and
They
like
can't let him go. He's got too much
he's not
buzz.
terrible, but he's also been in the bottom twice,
Yeah,
and I don't personally care about him, and I don't think that he's that funny or interesting,
yeah.
compared to some of the other people.
How integral to Scandival is Tom Schwartz?
So,
Let me
I am not the
text
person to
Brian
ask.
Cohen.
Yeah, get him, send him a quick text.
He might be
I will
watching the
say,
Yankee Mets game like I should be doing.
well, he should take a second to respond to your text. So from what I understand is like basically everyone has abandoned this the other Tom because he's a POS and has said some terrible things and done some terrible things. And Tom Schwartz is like the one guy that's like still kind of like supporting his boy and like I think also kind of like kept the secret. So we get this talked about in the
What
episode.
secret? Yeah.
Was the secret that he was
It's
having an
out.
affair.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I think that he's like guilty by association and also people are like you're a douchebag because like you are basically aiding and abetting this like you know bad person. And I think that sometimes your friends do bad things and you don't have to support them.
That's right.
Sometimes you have to call them on their ish.
Mhm.
And I think this is my as someone that has not watched any of this, that is like, and I also think that he probably just is like not a like well-liked person in the like Vanderpump universe anyway, but like the fact that he's like supporting and like is kind of in on this, that's why he's also the bad guy. That's my understanding. I'm sorry if I butchered it because I literally have not watched any of this, but
we don't know. We don't know.
It doesn't matter. I just don't think that he's good on the show in that like I feel bad for him because I'm like, no one likes you.
Yeah, but
You know what
I
I
think they
mean?
actually do need to be using him more on the missions from
Well,
like
he's
the
like,
base commander perspective. Like, and he's saying like, "Hey, I'm a grunt." Like, I do think you kind of do need these guys who you could just throw out in the field
yes.
to like help do the like carry heavy
But he
things on the
didn't
mission.
do anything last week when he was out on the field. And so I think that he's one of those people where you're
No,
like,
but I think
oh,
he
you're a strong
did.
guy.
It was
Like,
like, we don't know why you're here. Like when they had a chance to save somebody, it was like, oh yeah, no, instantly, Tom. It's like save Tom. He actually did stuff. Like he, for whatever reason, and
didn't
ended
he
up.
say he had the moment of like superhuman strength?
Yes,
Is that what
yeah,
he said? Yeah. I
yeah.
guess a moment is better
And
than
this
nothing.
week, yeah, I mean, he was out there, and Ariel was like, I got this. He's like,
I
okay,
will say that like I don't fault him for being put into the role he ended up being in. Like that's not his fault. But like he did drop the ball in his role. I think it was pretty wild that like he can't count 4. Like
yeah, but what did that change? Like, yeah, he like gave them the wrong count. Like, did they like was everybody then like half-assing it then
I guess
after he
so.
said 3.5? Like, oh, we got this. Don't even
Well,
try.
because
Don't even try hard anymore, guys. We got this.
well, because we saw shots of Natasha being like, "You guys have 6 minutes left. You only have like half a barrel left. You're gonna have time to spare." And so I do think that we're at least made to feel that like that error could have been a pretty big deal because maybe if they had known how far along they actually were, they might have picked up the pace and not like maybe not taken as long to fix the pipes. I don't know. The point is that like I don't think that Tom Schwartz is like the strongest, like most fit man, and he's going to be like giving it his all in every challenge. So I because I have no personal interest in him, I would be fine with him going. He's been in the bottom 2 weeks in a row. He keeps skating by.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, your days are numbered, Tom. I'm watching you.
All right. Well, Jenny, we saw where Ronda Rousey was working on making the compost with Richard Sherman, and I feel like that this has been Chekhov's food situation here for 2 episodes where we keep talking about how, oh, we're gonna have to ration the food, but so far I have not seen that. And I'd like to see that.
Yeah, I think it's still early that like they're trying to like this is the foreshadowing of like there will eventually be some sort of food crisis, I think. Cuz
Yeah.
like they're having to let us know that this is an important part and that they're growing crops for a reason. We're getting the reminders about the the limited rations and that you have to be careful about the consumption. I think it will become a thing in a later episode. They've only been there for a couple days at this point. So I think that that's what it's about. But like, I think it's cute. I like watching them because I think that this would be fun. Like, imagine just being like, I think that they have like more interesting things to do in the Hab than, again, I'm going to compare everything to the Big Brother house. The Big Brother house, like, what the hell do you do there? They had playing cards. They have plants to water. Like, I think that I would
They have
love if I'm like
mandatory exercise time.
mandatory exercise time.
They have
So
to
it's like,
clean the solar panels.
yeah, I'd be like, I would love to have a little task to do. And if the little task is talking to carrot plants and watering them, I think that I would have fun with that. I will say, and this is me just making blanket statements about people I don't know, but I feel like Ronda Rousey's a little antisocial in the house.
Probably everywhere.
I don't see her making any connections, and we see her like spending a lot of time in the biodome with the plants and talking about like this is where she goes to like get some alone time. And I think that Rhonda is not a big people person, and we've heard her say this. The reason she's doing this show is she wanted to be an astronaut.
She loves space.
And she
Give
loves
her
space.
space.
And she's literally looking for space. I think the living and the cohabitating part of the experiment is like by far the least interesting to her, and she would rather just sit alone with the plants. And what I like about this show is I think that could eventually hurt her, because we see like people, you know, it's being explained to us that there is a social aspect to this game, which thank God. I love there to be a point to like making friends, like have it benefit you somehow. And I just think that Ronda Rousey is maybe not making a ton of friends.
She's not here to make friends.
She's not here to make friends. She's here to be in fake space. And I guess if that's her goal, she's doing it.
She's doing it. She's doing it. So I asked Brian Cohen about
yes, please.
I asked him about how integral is the other Tom to the Scandival saga. And he said it's still a little unclear, but he helped cover up the affair at a minimum. He's on damage control now. He's on damage control, distancing himself really now. And I said, would you care about him living on Mars?
Would you care if he just got released into the ether?
And Brian Cohen said, if he stays there.
I think that says it all, truly. Yeah. I did see a clip from like
one huge Vanderpump fan.
Yes, he is. And I love that. But I saw like this clip from like one of the reunions, and like so Sandoval said something like truly disgusting about like his former partner, and then he turned and everyone's like, you're disgusting, and he turns and apologizes to the other Tom. Like that is the only person he cares about. Like, he cares about Tom Schwartz. He's like, I am being offensive, I am being degrading to women, and I am apologizing to my friend Tom here, who's sticking by me because I am continuing to dig myself a grave. So what I will say about Tom Schwartz is it does seem like he at least is a team player. He did say he loves grunt work, and it just seems that his most recent grunt work is supporting this loser and standing by his side no matter what. So, I mean, if that's the kind of guy you want on your team, he'll stand by you until literally the public will make it impossible for you to do so.
All right. Well, let's talk about a guy that we would like to have on any team. That's Marshawn Lynch. Marshawn Lynch, he was the base commander in episode number 1. I guess there is a base commander HOH robe.
Yes. Yeah, they get it's literally like being HOH, except for it's like a much smaller room. It doesn't even look like a full, like, I don't know, maybe he's just very big, but like it didn't look like a double bed to you. Like,
didn't look that great. It looked like maybe like the HOH room from like the old Big Brother house.
Right. Yeah, it's a small bed, but your own bathroom, which we'll get to, your own like space, because the rest of them are like in like bunk type room layout. And so I guess there's also a robe, because he comes out in the white base commander robe, like looking fly. Everyone's like, oh, hey, like, so I think that's nice. I think that if you're going to take the stress and the decision making of being base commander, you get some nice things. You want an incentive to take on that role.
But doesn't Big Brother already have a robe? Like, does that make any sense that the base commander of the Mars habitat would have like a special bathrobe? Like, I feel like that we're just giving them a bathrobe because that's what they do on Big Brother.
If they're gonna borrow things from Big Brother, I'm not worried about the bathrobe of it all. Like, they have showers there, so it's like,
I guess so.
Wouldn't you like to get into a nice comfy bathrobe after a shower?
Like, I feel like a gold tracksuit or something.
Oh, you want it to be more space themed, is what you're saying. Okay. Like, I don't know. Maybe this is the break from all the space. It's like your space from space is like a comfort from home, a bathrobe. I don't know.
Okay. Well, Lance Armstrong last week had asked Marshawn Lynch, hey, can I use your bathroom? Marshawn Lynch said, no, absolutely not. But I guess in the waning hours of Marshawn's base commanding, Lance Armstrong snuck in and ended up completing a mission.
Yes, I believe it was a success.
Yes.
Um,
The Mars rover was deployed.
yeah, something landed, um,
Mhm.
and hopefully didn't leave too much of a mark.
Mhm. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
it was very slick. He snuck in basically while Marshawn was in another room. He's like, "Now's my time," and I said this last week. I feel like Lance. He's got villain potential.
Mhm.
And I think that he's an opportunist, and he's like, I'll play nicey nice until this man is out of power or almost out of power and can't do anything to me. And I'm gonna slip in and,
Yeah,
sully his bathroom.
I would not think that, Lance Armstrong would have issues with, like, the public bathroom. I feel like that he's on these bicycles for
He's probably
weeks at a
pissing
time.
himself.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
probably, like, gone to the bathroom, all over the place and all these different spots. You would think that
Yeah.
sharing the men's room with, the other Tom from Vanderpump and Adam Rippon
Yeah.
and, Richard Sherman wouldn't be the end of the world.
I mean, maybe this is like some sort of like post-career like
Mhm.
healing. Maybe he's like spent so much of his life like not being able to having to do bathroom things in like unpleasant scenarios,
Okay.
and now it's like deeply important to him. I don't know. Here's the thing.
Like, never again.
Like I totally get this. Like I would 100% want the private bathroom.
Sure,
Like
everybody
that's the best
would.
part.
Yeah, you just feel like that Lance Armstrong has done a lot.
Maybe he has IBS.
I
And
mean,
I
that's
don't know how you have the career you have if you have IBS, but
I feel like that would have come up.
it would have come out.
Yeah, he's had a lot of public health issues, but who knows? Who knows? We
I
don't wanna
don't
pry.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Alright.
he was determined though, and I mean, ultimately, so he gets it done, but not without incident because Marshawn knows. He knows he did it because
Yeah.
it gets revealed that Lance snuck in and used the bathroom. And then we get this incredible confessional. I love when you get like the diary room-esque thing with two people. And we had Richard Sherman and Marshawn Lynch in like the chair together. And then Marshawn has like a shovel over his shoulder.
Mhm.
I guess one of like it's some sort of for the plants. I don't know, but it was like a metal shovel, and
Yeah.
he's like, "If I see any doo doo in my toilet, I'm gonna find Lance." And he's like, got a metal shovel. Like it seemed a little like he's gonna hit him with the shovel.
Yeah. Well, look,
He's
he
taking it
said don't do
seriously.
it. He blatantly broke a rule. So,
And if you are going to use the bathroom, you make sure it's clean when I leave. Like,
yeah.
you know.
Is it murder if it happens on Mars? Is that if you are in
Mm.
in
Yeah,
space?
different laws there. What's the murder law on fake Mars?
I don't know.
I don't know. We'll have to ask Shaddy Daddy about that one.
Okay. All right. So we have to select a new commander. There's a couple people who want it. Tallulah would like to be the new commander, but also Ronda Rousey would like to be the new commander.
Yeah. And it seemed like that came and went very quickly.
Very
I like
quickly. Yeah. It was just like a setup to get Ronda Rousey wrestling with Marshawn Lynch.
yes. Which is great. So we thought because Marshawn was like, I want to do it again, which he doesn't want to do it again. He just does not want to lose his robe and his bathroom and his bed.
Mhm.
That is ultimately what it's all about for him. He's here for comfort, which I don't know why he's put himself into fake space if he wanted comfort, but
Mhm.
um yeah, and so I really thought that this was how they were going to decide it. They were like, Marshawn and Rhonda, you have to wrestle to decide who is going to be the new base commander.
Yeah, I
And
think they
then
just
like
wanted the
Marshawn like lets
scene.
her
Yeah,
win.
I guess so. But ultimately, it's Tallulah who ends up winning the vote. She becomes the new base commander, and everybody's feeling pretty good. She's holding them all in her heart chakra.
That's a great place to be held, I would think.
I would think.
I don't know.
I would think.
It's probably
I would be so
warm and
happy if people told me, if any of the listeners are holding me in their heart chakra,
or
I
chakra.
appreciate that. And Jenny too.
Yeah. Yeah, if I would love
We
to be
appreciate
there.
you.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see. We got handing out the tasks. Also, this is boring when they do the tasks.
Yeah, I don't care. I mean, it's kind of funny. Like we get like little confessionals about like how they're feeling about things. I did kind of like the so it didn't seem like everyone got new tasks this time. It was like just a few different things. Because Natasha, like first, or sorry, not Natasha. Tallulah had been like napping for like several
Mhm.
hours after becoming base commander, and then like finally she orders everyone in, and like the one task that I thought was funny was Portia and Lance had to conduct health and well-being checks, which ultimately was meaningless, but at least it like gave us like it gave them something to do where they could interact with each other in a silly way, which
Yeah.
I am not mad at. Like it's less boring to me than the emergencies.
Clean the solar panels. Yeah.
Like, and I did not care about Ariel and Tom cleaning the which that looked like a shitty job, like compared to
Mhm.
oh, you take people's temperature, like
Yeah, and they're not even real solar panels.
yeah.
Like, or maybe they're real solar panels, but they're not connected to the space station.
They're not doing anything.
They're
They're
not
just
real.
there.
They're really it's just props.
It's just
Go
a
clean
set
the
piece.
props, Jenny. You better.
I mean,
those
it looked
props
hard.
better be shiny.
They're in like giant spacesuits and
Put your spacesuit on and go clean the props.
they're like bigger
Why?
than them. Like I would be pissed if I'm Ariel or Tom and I get that job. And I could have been Portia freaking taking people's blood pressure and like what is it? Was that a stethoscope that she had on?
I'd be going through the motions. Let's be real.
It's
Be
like,
like,
whatever.
Okay, solar panels are clean.
Yeah, good enough. I thought that they caused the emergency. Didn't you feel like that was like foreshadowing?
Oh,
When, like,
interesting.
because so Tom and Ariel clean the solar panels. They do a good enough job, and then they had extra water, and they didn't want to carry it back. So Tom was like, "Should we just pour out this water?" And like they just poured out the water, and then suddenly
It was like karma that you wasted water.
Emergency. I honestly thought that was like some sort of foreshadowing, but we didn't get like that connection made like by the show. But I was like, why did they include that? Like, are you trying to like tie this in? I don't know. I just noticed that, but I thought maybe that they were responsible for the water crisis.
Water pressure alert. Okay. We've got explosions. And what was that? Water pressure alert is going on. We need to go get some water from the ice on the surface of Mars. Okay.
Rob,
and so, yes.
I have to say that this crisis was particularly close to home for me this week. I felt like
did your water pressure go out?
Okay, so can I rant for a moment about my real life?
Please.
It's my real life, not like fake Mars life.
Right.
So
like
our
some
building,
people.
our building has like been doing some sort of like repair on like water valves. So like last week, 3 days, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they had to turn the hot water off. And to do repairs or whatever. So they gave us a warning. They let us know like it's going to be off these hours. So then on the Monday, they're like hot water will be back on at like 5 and then it'll be off again the next day at 8. So in the evening, hot water didn't come back. I needed to have a shower the next morning to go to work. I had to have Phil help bathe me.
Oh boy.
Because
Family podcast, Jenny. Okay.
I know, not like that, not like in a weird way, but he had to boil water because we had no hot water, and I was like, I'm not going to be able to wash the shampoo out of my hair, so he had to boil water so that I could wash my hair properly because I needed to have a shower. This was last week, Rob. So then, first of all, they lied and they didn't turn the water back on.
Yeah.
That was a
Now,
miscommunication.
did you all remember to clean your solar panels?
Listen, no one told me about the solar panel, okay?
Who's your base commander?
Listen, you don't want me to get started on the base commander, okay? The communication is bad. So that was not even all of it, Rob. So they already messed with me last week. So then they said Monday and Tuesday, okay, we found there's an issue with the cold water valve. We've got to fix it. So on Monday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., there will be no water, cold or hot. Then from 1 to 6, there will be only cold water. Then you'll be good. So this was yesterday. I'm like, great. I am going to have my shower at 8 a.m. because today is Phil's graduation and I'm going to get nice and clean for Phil's graduation. 8 a.m., no water. Why did you send an email that said 9 a.m.? You turned it off at 8. It was a water crisis. Rob,
Water crisis.
I had to go to...
Well, no, yeah, it's Canada. Did you go out and take your portable microwave out into any caves to get some water, Jenny?
No, I was not quite at that stage.
Did you forget your tarp?
I did have to.
Did you have any barrels?
I was basically doing that last week. I was getting water into the barrels and then bathing myself with it. It was literally.
Did you rappel down to get them? Yeah. From your apartment.
I had to go to Natalie Franklin's to shower yesterday. That was my solution to this problem. But like, when I was Natalie. Like, oh my God, they have no water. This is my life. Like, I was like,
you're ready.
I was so passionate. I would have been, I don't like heights either, but I would have been rappelling like crazy. Like, let's get the water back. I need a shower. You do not want to mess with me when I need a shower. And this is why I would probably be terrible on Survivor.
On Survivor. Yeah. Okay, well, anyway. Jenny, things were very dire for all of our stars in the habitat because they needed to work on this problem and that they realized that this is a serious issue and that they have just elected Tallulah to be in charge. And so they need a mission specialist. No. Portia kind of roasts Tallulah.
This was really funny where she was like, okay, we decided that Tallulah would be our base commander because we want her energy. But now we have to decide on the mission specialist. And like, that is like a big deal. Like now we want to make sure we really pick someone good. Like Tallulah's like, wait.
She's like, okay, I was with you in the beginning.
Yeah. It started off as a compliment and kind of turned into a backhanded compliment. Your energy is great, but now we need someone that actually knows what they're doing.
Yeah. So here, enter Natasha, who we got a little bit of her backstory about how she's divorced. Or I'm sorry, no, that was just talking. Tom was divorced.
No, Tom is divorced.
But she was talking to Tom.
He's
about
bonding.
This.
She's doing the social game, and I love that.
Yes. And so she says, look, I can translate Tallulah. I speak Tallulah. I can tell you all what she's saying and vice versa. I would be a great mission specialist.
And that was literally all it took because
okay, makes sense.
Well, also and this is where this is confusing because it's like, okay, so last week they decided amongst themselves who was going to be base commander. And it was basically Marshawn was like, I want to do it. And they're like, sure, we're not going to argue with you. Like you want the room. No one wants to put themselves into this job first. Great. But then Shaddy Daddy was the one who decided who the, wasn't he the one that decided the mission specialist last week? And then this week it was like, they decide amongst themselves on the base commander again, but then the base commander ultimately it wasn't like a vote on who was going to be the mission specialist. It's just the base
figuring it out on the fly, Jenny.
And that's fine. But it was funny that like people were like, well, what about me? And she's like, no, I'm just going to pick my friend. That's it. Like, okay.
Yeah, ends up being a bad pick.
It didn't work out for her.
Okay. All right. Actually, I mean, I think the pick was fine, but I think that maybe Tallulah, like Natasha was not that invested in ultimately seeing the mission succeed.
And that's why this is an interesting dynamic where if the mission fails and then the base commander is at risk and not the mission specialist, where it's like, you pick someone that if things go down, you think that they'll still want to protect you. Whereas, like, I think Natasha's like, I don't know. I don't know you that well.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm not,
I
I'm
mean,
not
it is
dying for you.
interesting, and it is, like, very political of, like, you almost would want, like, a mission specialist who's, like, much more loyal to the cause than somebody
Yes.
who is effective, but perhaps, disloyal.
Yes. And is just trying to, gain safety, which
Mhm.
ultimately I think was what Natasha was going for here.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it worked out.
So, we're gonna go and start to send some folks out on the mission. A bunch of people are going out, and they have to decide who is staying up at the top of the
It's like a
the
cliff.
ledge, like a
Yeah.
cliff, right?
It
They
was
need to
like, I
rappel
don't know
down.
how I don't know how tall it was. I think Tinashe said that it looked like it was like 500 feet. But
Might have been
it
10.
seemed
Yeah.
like it could have been
It
10.
was high enough for
Um,
Marsha and Lynch to not want to go.
yes. But I also just get the impression that, like, he just wouldn't have, like, I think he had already decided what sort of things that he wanted to do in this situation, and he was, like, decisive about that. And I
He
love
did
that.
not wanna work. He wanted to bang on the drum all day.
Yes, and bang on the drum is what he did. Um, it was
Is he a
really great.
drummer? He was actually very good at that.
I don't know. I was like, at one point, I was like, "Do you think that he's doing like the drum solo from like In the Air Tonight?" Like,
Mhm,
doo doo
yeah.
doo 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 doo, because that's what I would do
Mhm. I
on
don't
those
know.
barrels.
Maybe is
um,
Marshawn
I need
Lynch
an
really is into
interview.
that. Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
so I didn't really understand the mechanics of this. Also, it doesn't matter. These are fake tasks on fake Mars.
Right.
But like there are two people that are at the top of the cliff that don't have to rappel down, that are like getting fed the water up to fill 4 barrels, and then the rest of them are like down in a pit with like a tarp with like a
Mhm.
pipe. I don't know.
Yeah, so,
It
I
didn't
mean,
matter.
basically, the conceit of the show was there was the frozen water in Mars surface. They
Underneath the
had some sort of,
crust.
like, microwave, that was microwaving the water out from the cave, and then the water was dripping down, and they had to catch it with a tarp. That was getting a little double dare, and they had to then connect, like, the tarp that you would, like, use to, like, cover, like, a baseball field when it was raining, and
Yeah.
then that would go into like a funnel, and the funnel was then being pumped up to the guys with the barrels. But the issue
It was
was,
yeah. It was convoluted in like a way that didn't need to be. Like I I ultimately didn't really understand or care about how the water was getting to the upper part. But the moral of the story was, once you got the water onto the tarp, it became extremely heavy. And
yeah,
so having strong people to keep that, you know,
mhm,
up and to keep water from spilling was a lot more important than having strong people just like aiming a hose
yeah.
into a bucket
And the part that we
essentially.
skipped over was that Tom, who says, "Hey, pick me. I'm the grunt. Use me just for like carrying heavy stuff," ends up being sort of sidelined here as Ariel ends up saying, "You know what? I think it would be cool to go and rappel down. I got this."
Yeah,
And Tallulah
because
greenlit that.
yeah, so we got like, so Portia rappels down and was very, very terrified because she is afraid of heights, but didn't tell anyone, was very brave, went down. We got everyone cheering on. It was wonderful. So then Ariel saw that and was like, I want to have that moment. I want to have my moment where I do the cool thing and I rappel down the cliff. And she was just sick of waiting to do something important and was like, I want to rappel. And this is Tallulah's fatal error, where she basically I think actually Natasha was like, Ariel, you have a very important job, but it's not happening yet. Like, your time will come to do the cool important thing. Like, just hold on. And Tallulah, people pleaser, doesn't know how to say no, ultimately was like, well, do you think maybe Ariel could like switch out with Tom? So now you have Ariel, this tiny woman, down holding onto the tarp with everyone, and Tom, who is apparently supposed to be strong, I guess.
Mhm.
He has moments of superhuman strength. Um I still don't even know if that was him that said that, but whatever. I'm
I
attributing
think it
that
was.
to him.
I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so like he's just up there aiming a hose at this point. And I don't
I don't even
know
think he was
his
aiming the
skills.
hose. His
No,
job was
I
like
think he was
counting the barrels. Yeah.
he was supervising Marshawn.
Supervising Martian on filling the hoses, filling the
He
buckets.
was like secondary percussion. Like
Yeah. And so it's not really going great. They are losing a lot of water. But it seems like that at one point they have like a system figured out. Lance Armstrong, he tells us later that he was the most valuable player, but I kind of believe it.
yeah, I mean, I think that it seemed like Adam Rippon also kind of came to the rescue when like the pipe got disconnected and like Ariel needed help with the water. But yeah, it seemed like Lance was on top of things. But I also just think that Lance is the kind of guy that was like, I am the best here. So
Okay. Now at one point, Tom is asked how many barrels have they filled up, and he says they have filled up 3.5 barrels.
3.5 of, count it, 4 barrels. They have 4
Yes.
barrels and they have 20 minutes of the ice water flow to get it done. And so it's around 6 minutes left when Tom says they have 3.5 barrels filled. And that's when Natasha's like, oh, you guys are killing it. Like, you have half a barrel left. You've got so much time. Did that ultimately end up making a difference?
Yeah.
We don't know. We weren't there.
I really don't think so, but it's not a good look. And then he has to say, so I actually misspoke. We have 2.5 barrels, not 3.5.
That is 1 whole barrel,
Yes.
a quarter of the whole project less than we said originally. Oopsie.
Yeah.
And understandably, people were like, that's a pretty, when your only job is up there to just, there's not that much happening. You are pouring water into a bucket and there are 2 of you and there are 4 buckets and you can only do one at a time. You had, this was very big, you had one job energy. And that's why I'm frustrated with Tom. And I guess to be fair, like this wasn't the original job that he was supposed to have. I understand. But like it's not hard. It's not hard to like report a number when it's under 4.
Yeah, this would have been one of the easier jobs.
Yeah.
But ultimately, so it's a fail,
Massive
epic fail. You Muppet, Tallulah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I really did like this twist that Tallulah is up for elimination and she has to go in, and now Natasha
leave,
gets promoted to being the base commander. And then Natasha is going to start handing out all of the people who were considered to be mission critical. But it did seem as though Natasha played like, okay, here, these are all my friends.
I mean, to be fair, she basically said everyone that was in the hole.
Yeah.
So the people holding the tarp, they were all great. They did nothing wrong.
They did do something. They were the people that failed the mission.
But I think the argument she was making there was that like you didn't do any part of your job wrong, whereas
yes, they did. They did really bad at that.
I think that they, could only make decisions based on what they were being told, and they were being given wrong information, filtered through, starting with Tom to Tallulah and Natasha, who basically let them take the foot off the pedal a little bit and not panic when they were losing water, when they really should have been hustling the rest of it. But she names them in order of I think you're right, like the people that she is buddy with, because she's like Ariel, and then Tinashe is next,
Richard Sherman,
and then Richard Sherman, Rhonda, Portia, Adam, Lance, or Lance.
Beyonce.
That's what they call him, I guess, Lance. And that's when Lance confirms that he is the team MVP. So, but yeah, that was the argument that at least Natasha said, was that like anyone that was down on the ground, they did a great job, and so they should not be punished. And it ultimately comes down to, Tom and Marshawn up on the barrel duty, and then Tallulah
Yeah.
making bad leadership choices.
Yes, that's the bottom three: Tom, Marshawn, and Tallulah. And they all sort of like make their pitches. And Tom, that he's in the bottom three for the second time. The Marshawn was just like, look, I had one job. I had to put the hose in the bucket. I did that.
Which he's right. And I also love that, like, Richard Sherman like rides for his boy, you know what I mean? Like there was like multiple points where it's like
Just
he
like
did his job.
Tom
Like
from
what
Vanderpump.
like yeah, exactly. Where he's just like, we can't punish him for just doing what he was supposed to do. He literally did his job. Like that's it. And I mean, he didn't have to say a lot. It is true. And again, I will protect Marshawn at all costs. Please keep him on the show forever. He wasn't supposed to be up there. He was originally supposed to be down there as well. I know we talked a lot about the switch of Ariel and Tom, but the original plan was Ariel and Adam were supposed to be up top. And then Marshawn was like, I'm not rappelling down here. And so that was when Tallulah was like, okay, Marshawn, you can switch out with Adam. So that was the first switch. And I think that
like,
kind of got
Marshawn is not eligible for elimination.
Yes, exactly. And if that's the production meddling I'm talking about, then baby, it's fine. Okay.
This is fine.
Sorry, Tallulah, you had to be, a casualty of this, but if that's what we needed for this to work, then that's what had to happen.
Yeah. Okay, so ultimately, Tom had a good line here that he got the buckets wrong, but he said, I'm an optimist. I'm a glass full guy.
I will give him, yeah, like he did make it funny at least. If anyone,
but that's like the classic Jam. It's like, what,
Yeah, but I think the problem is that like I love Jam and I had no reason to go into knowing Jam. Well, no, because I already went in thinking I don't like this guy. And so that's sucks for him. If anyone from the Vanderpump standum can let me know if there are reasons why I should give this man a break. Let me know, because I don't have the intel. Maybe I have to talk to Brian Cohen after this and say, like, you did say you would like to leave him in Mars. But is there a reason why I should support this man?
All right. Ultimately, we get our vote. Tom was mission critical. Tallulah, sorry.
Yeah. Time to be shot into space. I don't know. They just walk out and they have like a solar flare or something, and then they tell us how they feel.
Yeah. And so sorry, Tallulah.
Yeah. Everyone says love you, and it seemed like she was liked, but I think that they were just like, well, you can't do this anymore. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. Jenny, what do we think is happening next week on Special Forces?
Oh, Special Forces. Oh,
I'm sorry.
I was like, I don't want to watch it again yet.
You know what? In my notes, I have sent Tallulah to Special Forces. I'm looking at the last thing I wrote in my notes. But just for the stars on Mars, what crisis is coming next week?
There's a fire, is what I know.
Oh my God.
There appears. It looked like there was. I saw the next time. They don't show you a lot on the next time. It's a lot of just like nothing. But it looked like there might. I mean,
that's also like every time on.
That's true, but I feel like these, especially the scenes, I don't understand what's happening at any point. It's just like someone's face in a spacesuit, and then like a shot of, I don't know. Like I just find like visually, I don't understand what's happening. But maybe I just don't understand Mars.
Maybe.
But it looked like there was a fire in the biodome. Like I saw like plants on fire, and there was lots of yelling about fire. So we had our water.
But maybe we'll like the mission more if they don't have to leave the hab.
Yeah. I will say that like this one was better lit. This emergency, like I felt like I understood what was happening a little bit better. Like I could see people better because it wasn't at night.
Maybe.
Is there night? I don't understand. Is there
Mhm.
like a difference in the? I
Well,
don't know.
there
It
was like
seemed
a
brighter.
windstorm happening last time out.
Right. So maybe that's why it seems so dark because of like
Mhm.
the. But yeah, like they have like the orange dirt. Like, did you notice that there's like tracked orange dirt all through the hab?
Mhm. It's
I was
very
like,
messy.
okay, it's
Yeah.
realistic. It's dirty. It's
Mhm.
yucky. So
Yeah. They got to clean the habit more. Work
yeah,
on that.
yeah,
All
get
right.
on it, guys.
All right, so that's episode 2 of Stars on Mars. So,
Yeah,
definitely some hits, some misses as well.
yeah,
We're definitely gonna keep going. It's a hit to us, even if it might not be for the viewing public. But Jenny,
yeah.
this is where things get interesting. This is gonna be
Mhm.
a mission critical week for us next
Oh
week
my
because
goodness.
ultimately 2 weeks from now is when Claim to Fame, a show that we put on the map last summer, is
Are we taking
returning.
credit for that?
Yes.
I'll take credit for that. I love that.
And we, of course, will be going into our weekly coverage of Claim to Fame.
Yes.
Now, look, we have a lot on our plate for sure. Could we potentially podcast 2 shows at once?
Listen, I have always planned to be podcasting Claim to Fame because I've been very excited about it.
Mhm.
But the problem with Claim to Fame, and it's not a problem. The thing about Claim to Fame is that it it ended up transcending what
The
we
medium.
yeah, like our vision for this podcast to the point where we're not questioning every week if Claim to Fame is a hit or whether we should quit. We already know that
What if all the celebrities are people that are
are really
canceled?
bad.
And we
Ooh.
found out like, okay,
We're not gonna find out
really?
until but we're not gonna find out until each week, so we're not even gonna know. I mean, I guess maybe after, like, 3 or 4 weeks, we're like, "Oh, it's literally they did oops, all canceled," you know? Because we don't find out the celebrities early, like, for some people,
It's like
like last season,
claim
but
to fame. Actually, this season is claim to shame.
oh, I thought you were gonna say claim to infamy, but that doesn't work as well.
No.
It doesn't have the same rhyme.
Mhm.
I hope that that's not the case. I don't want a reason to quit Claim to Fame. But that's the thing is like I think we both know we are not planning on quitting that. So are we just not going to continue the journey of finding something that is potentially crappy and the decision we make every week whether we want to keep going or not? Cuz I'm willing to ride if you're willing to ride, Rob. And
Yeah.
I am enjoying this enough that like for in the very least I definitely want to watch it again next week. And if people like it and want us to keep going and if we are still having a good time, then I'm also cool with that.
Yeah. Ultimately, next week, this is make or break for you stars on Mars. So just
Yeah.
don't drop a dud on us next week.
Yeah, because if like I have one podcast a week with you, Rob.
Hmm.
I'm not Chappelle, you know? I'm not any of these people that have like 500 podcasts every week on top of another job. So I technically do have the time to podcast 2 shows. You are a busy man. So ultimately Stars on Mars needs to prove themselves to you to make the time in your
Okay.
schedule. But if you're there, I'm there, you know, like
All right. Let's see what happens next week.
if you want to repel, I will repel with you.
Hmm.
That's kind of how I feel about this journey.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see what happens next week
Yeah,
on Stars on Mars. Jenny, I know you said you don't have any other podcasts coming up.
nothing.
Anything you want to tell people to check out?
You can follow me on Twitter at Jenny Autumn, and on Instagram at Jenny Autumn. Occasionally I post things. And hopefully at the end of this night, there will be 2 cups. I guess well, one's not a
Whoa.
cup, but 2 championship trophies coming to Kitchener, Ontario, where I live. Because hopefully the Vegas Golden Knights win tonight, and then there's 2 players from the NBA and the NHL winning championships and bringing the trophies to good old Kitchener, Ontario. That's exciting for
Bring them
me. So
home. Okay.
bring it home. So and that's basically it. I'm just gearing down with the sports and looking forward to Claim to Fame in 2 weeks.
Hmm. All right.
So yeah.
Well, I got a ton of podcasts that I'm recording on Wednesday. They're all going to be dropping over the course of the week. So check out everything over at robhasawebsite.com, and you can subscribe to our podcast feeds for Apple Podcasts and Spotify at robhasawebsite.com/subscribe. Thank you all so much for joining us for Stars on Mars. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.